Hey everyone, either welcome back or welcome to my channel. And in today's video, I want to talk about what happens when I overdo it. So, what exactly my symptoms are and how I feel when I overdo it. So, before I get into any more details, time for the intro. I want to talk today about what happens when I overdo it. If you guys watched my November vlog, you will have seen kind of what I look like when I've overdone it, but it may not be very physically visible what all I'm experiencing during those moments. So I want to explain kind of what everything that I feel and exactly what I'm feeling when I have these moments where I have overdone it. What overdoing it means, for those of you who don't have a chronic illness, is that you've done too much either the day or a few days before and overexerted yourself to the point where you actually have symptoms because you did too much. So I refer to this as overdoing it. I'm sure that many others do too, but it's what happens when we don't listen to our bodies. I think there is a point where people with chronic illness actually do know their body quite well. And when we don't actually listen to our body, or we do too much more than what we know we should, there's payback for doing that. So I want to get into some of these symptoms that I experience when that happens. One of the main symptoms that I get is actually pain everywhere. My legs will hurt, my arms will hurt. A better example of what this feels like is when you do too much when you're exercising. So you know how you get those muscle pains in your arms and your legs when you overexert yourself when you're exercising? That's pretty much exactly what it feels like. You feel exhausted despite having slept often several hours. So the night after I had that really long day last month, I slept probably 10 or 11 hours. But despite all that, I feel like I had slept about only 6.5 or 7. So you feel like you do not get enough sleep in those moments, and it feels like you could just sleep and sleep and sleep. And even if you do let yourself sleep, and sometimes you actually do need that rest in that case, if never really feels like you fully catch up on that sleep unless you get a decent amount of days of break from having symptoms, or you have a decent break where you feel like you're getting enough rest to make up for that deficit that you had in energy. It's not always possible, actually, for those of us to catch up on the rest that we need. It depends on what else you're dealing with. If you're going through a flare up and symptoms, I know that when I'm often in a flare up, I often don't feel very good, and I often don't sleep very well either. It's not the same type of sleep that I get when I'm actually doing fairly well with IIH and migraine, so I'm not having much flare ups. I'm feeling my relative normal, at least my normal is what it is now. When I'm recovering from a day like that, you kind of get to the point where you get frustrated after 2 or 3 days because you feel like you get really, really far behind in productivity because you're not able to do really anything. If you do anything, you end up creating a bigger deficit for yourself. And so during those times, I often feel like my productivity is really, really low. This is one of the main reasons why I think it's important to not overdo it, avoid it as much as possible, because you don't want to have to make up those deficits if you possibly can. And making up those deficits is really, really difficult, if not sometimes almost impossible, depending on where you are and how you're doing. You end up paying more in the end than what you would if you were actually sticking to a routine. This is another reason why I say routine is really, really important. This is one of the reasons why I do have a routine. One of the reasons why I do actually have a routine with IIH and migraines, or try to, is so that I know when I've done too much and have to step back before I get to the point of being exhausted and having overdone it. I know that, well, doing that extra thing today is probably not a good idea. So for example, for today, so I've already done a workout, I've had a shower, I've done a TikTok today, and now I'm filming my videos. After this, I'm done because I'm not able to do anything else because I would be risking doing too much. And actually, this is a very full day and can actually sometimes lead to problems. I'm generally okay. I only did a half an hour workout today, so I should be okay. But that doesn't mean that I'm always able to do this amount of activity in a day. I'm actually feeling quite good today, which is nice. And I've been sleeping really well, so I know that everything is doing fairly well. Wasn't feeling so good over the weekend because I did have my period this last weekend. Everybody knows that my period makes my symptoms worse. The routine helps you kind of keep into perspective where you are in the day and how close you might be to getting towards your end limit for what you can tolerate. And what people in your family have to understand is just because it appears you're doing okay doesn't mean you're able to push that extra little bit. And they should never expect it. You should tell them, no, I'm at my limit. I'm done for the day. I understand that you're disappointed and that I can't do that thing today, but I've already prioritized all these other things, so I can't make time for that today. Just because you're not able to today doesn't mean that you can't tomorrow. It just means that you need to step back because you ran out of spoons or potentially could run out of spoons. I've talked about the spoon theory. I think a great activity to do actually with people around you is to come up with a list of everything that you might need to do in a day, including housework, chores, making meals, going to work, all of that stuff that you have to do in an average day, and assigning it a spoon level and telling them, okay, today is a good day. This is how many spoons I have for the day. And tell them, now you need to prioritize this list and you need to get all of this done, but you're only going to have a certain amount of spoons to do that. And then give them a bad day and get them to do the same thing. And it should help understand how you can do some things when you prioritize them, even on a bad day, but you should not overdo it because you're gonna run out of spoons. And using spoons, I think, is really good because it is a physical thing that you can actually give them. I know that I like to use batteries too because everybody has a phone. So tell them, well, it's like my phone. When I wake up in the morning on a bad day, I get this much battery percentage and I gotta run on that for the whole day. While when I have a good day, I'm running on this type of battery percentage. And I think they'll get the idea using both of those examples. For me, because I often have periods of time where I'm feeling really good, I tend to overdo it actually quite a bit. This is something that I'm still learning, and I often learn the hard way, is figuring out exactly how much I can tolerate before I end up in bed not feeling good, and all of that. Now, what I found with the routines is I'm able to tolerate a lot more on my basic routines and what my body's used to than if something comes in and happens to wipe out that routine. So this means that when something does break my routine, it tends to tire me out a little bit faster than something that my body's used to. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave one down below. If you've made it this far in the video, don't forget to subscribe, click that notification bell, and make sure your notifications are turned to all so you never miss another video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like. Also, don't forget to share. As for now, that's it for today. Bye everyone.